You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as name implies, all about Jiu Jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a white belt who trains at Black Hills Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, located in Rapid City, South Dakota. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Will Conner.
Hey guys. Hey Lamar. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Man, I appreciate you wanting to come on. I know we've been kind of like schedules been so conflicting, but we finally got it.
Yes, sir. I'm busy.
Well, let's get the ball rolling. Without further ado, if you want to formally introduce yourself again, by all means, and let's hear your jiu-jitsu journey.
Oh, that's great. As you mentioned, my name, I live in Rapid City, South Dakota. I've been a chiropractor and a nutritionist for 33 years now, and have a history of being a wrestler and also being a rugby player for about 30 years, including playing old boys rugby and playing overseas. And jiu-jitsu was always kind of floating in the background. And it wasn't until recently, the beginning of this year, I decided to step foot in the gym and see how see what that journey was all about. Of course, you might notice from my hairline, I'm what you would call a vintage gentleman, a senior grappler. So I had a certain amount of fear, but I've always been in the gym, and so I felt that I had a good foundation, fitness wise, but I still just wasn't sure. And probably like many others, I just got motivated by maybe it was one statement. Listened to a lot of podcasts and just all the information that I can consume, your podcast, many others, The Art of Skill, Jiu Jitsu Flow, and they kind of cater to older guys and folks getting involved in Jiu Jitsu. And I was like, well, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I was listening to a Jocko podcast, and he's like, you're not too old, just go do it. So I walked in, of course, had a lot of, fear that I'm going to be, the oldest guy. I was immediately welcomed by one guy around my age, another lady much younger, and they said, no, come on out and do it. So I was like, that was Tuesday, and I'm like, when's the next class? They said Thursday, and I said, well, I'll be here. And so what I've kind of tried to do is kind of document my journey for older guys. I'm 57. So starting out at that age, obviously there's not a lot of us. Most of the guys that are involved at my age are, advanced belts, and which is great because I can learn a lot from them. And so I've kind of just, you're right. How can I document my journey to maybe towards longevity in this sport, and of course the physical part's the biggest, obstacle to get over. But then there's also the mental and emotional part that comes with it. But I think if you're training smart, or learning to train smart, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you towards longevity in the game. And so I kind of wanted to see how my background could help me to move along in this journey, and then share it with other guys. And then, because I've seen like the Senior Grappler Summit, that The Art of Skill that he just hosted in San Diego. So there's a lot of older guys and gals out there that are interested in, and it seems like jiu-jitsu is one of the things that I've learned about it is it's for all ages, and I'm not even talking about competitive, but perhaps just evolving or growing as a person, right? Not just the physical aspect, but just all the others. And, obviously, you've been on this journey much longer than myself. So that was kind of my goal, see how the body could adapt to new, just new physical movements and a new journey, and how I could share that with others through my practice, through, various outlets, and, coach others as, in the biomechanics, or also helping keeping my fellow gym members, keeping them healthy as well. So that's been a fun journey nothing helps you understand an athlete like unless you do it. So you can
Right.
good perspective. So a while back, I got my first stripe. So now I'm a one stripe white belt, which helps me to realize that I probably know very little. Like last Saturday at open mat, if rolling with the upper belts, I've at Black Hills Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. There's some really great coaches really helped me along. And feel like they coach me, they school me. Some more in an old school fashion, which I'm okay with being an old school guy, but I feel that I learn from that. They don't just inflict pain with no lesson. So
Right.
I obviously I tap often, and as older guys, we tap early as well, or at least I do. But I leave the mat with more confidence because I learned to put some things together, and they coach me up, and when I get into a bad situation, which is quite frequently. So that's kind of my journey, and kind of where kind of a little bit of a history, but where I am now, and it's definitely once you say you get a one stripe, it's just maybe an acknowledgement of your consistency or your discipline to show up and try to listen and learn a few things. But man, does it help build your self-confidence. So I can't imagine folks like yourself that have been at it and achieved those acknowledgments along the way. It's kind of like I heard one of the professors say, he goes, they don't really mean anything, but they do. So they definitely help
Right.
your confidence, don't they? And I can only imagine as younger jiu-jitsu practitioners, like kids, man, they must feel really empowered and confident along their journey. So yeah, that's a little bit of a history. Hope that kind of sheds a little light on kind of my background.
Yeah. And I always find it fascinating when I find out people that do jujitsu that has, I guess you want to say, like, very important jobs because you're being you're a chiropractor and you use your hands a lot. And we're in the sport where we use our hands and for like grips and stuff. And the first thing you think about is like, people that does jiu-jitsu for so long, their fingers look so mangled from like being broken and stuff like that. So like, was that a concern for you, going into like learning jiu-jitsu?
Yes, absolutely. And shoulders, neck.
Yeah.
My neck, right? Obviously, we care about spines, but remember, I mentioned that I played rugby competitively for all those years, and I was concerned about it as well. And I've had numerous injuries from that sport, but I felt like if you have a foundation and your foundation involves staying physically fit, nutrition, rest, recovery, then you're going into it as healthy as you can be. I'm cautious. I don't go 110% on the mat. I'm very cautious, but Lamar, we all we know you get older and you get achy and you have injuries just cutting the dang grass or taking out the trash and doing chores. So sitting on the couch. So I'd rather have minor injuries that because I was earning something, achieving something, and if it's nothing more than just a personal goal that is discipline and consistency. So that's I was definitely had a fear of that, and I think that was my biggest one to get over. And I think that was just the motivation. Listen to that Jocko podcast saying you're not too old, just do it, don't be scared. And I'm like, it's completely right. If you live in fear, you're paralyzed, right?
Yeah, definitely. You never know, what can be done unless you actually go out there and do it.
Right.
You said what?
What you never know what you're capable of, but until you step foot on the mat. And then having had that history of wrestling and rugby, it was like, God, felt good to get out on the mat and kind of, so to speak, mix it up a little bit, grapple around, and you get done and you're like, woo, man, that was great. That felt good after that, but I'm exhausted at the same time.
Oh yeah. It's a good exhaustion though. You get like we had a class a class last Friday, and it was kind of like the guys that showed up, we were all kind of like just there. So like, you know what, man, we're just gonna roll. We're just gonna roll for like an hour. So we just set the clock and just it was what, 4 of us, so everyone stayed on. So it was just like we were just going around. And it's probably one of the best classes I've had in like a while, in a good while.
Awesome. He's kind of just started out and then just kind of escalated and turned into something good, huh?
Yeah, pretty much, man. But that's kind of how jiu-jitsu works. It's like, it's the days that you don't want to go, you don't feel motivated to do anything. It usually turns out to be probably like the best classes you'll ever have.
Yes, sir. I've always said that to folks about the gym. You don't feel like it, you're a little tired, you're busy, you just go and show up. And it's amazing how you become motivated once you're there. And you never leave the gym, whether it's jiu-jitsu or even just working out. You never leave on those days saying, darn, I wish I wouldn't have went to the gym. Right?
Yeah,
You
right.
say, glad I did. I know I learned something. And in jiu-jitsu, I think what I learn often is that I know less than I think. Right? That isn't that a lesson in humility that we hear that we could all use it. Hey, if you think if you're confident, that's great, but you definitely get humbled in jiu-jitsu at a snap of a finger, won't you?
Yeah, and that doesn't change your whole entire journey. You're always reminded like you don't know nothing.
That's coming from a very high level like yourself. So one of the things I've learned, and say speaking with you, and then the black belts and professors at my gym, and then some of my other classmates that I've learned since I've been on this journey, that I have 2 former classmates and rugby teammates that shared with me that they're black belts and they're up around my age. And I just admire y'all's discipline and consistency so much, because now that I've stepped foot on the mat, I know what it takes for y'all to get where you are. And it's just, it's like climbing Mount Everest. Like, you guys have been climbing for a long time and you're still climbing.
Still climbing. It's like you get there, you get to the top, and it's like, okay, you think you're at the tip, and then the clouds move. It's like, oh, there's still more mountain. There's still more mountain to climb.
Oh, man.
So, like I was so close. What happened? But like, nope, there's still more mountain, still more things to do. So just gotta keep going.
Yes, but I'm sure that you guys, you understand how to have longevity in the sport too. And I'm sure very practitioners over the years, jiu-jitsu players, they, maybe you're like you mentioned, a mountain. You kind of go up and down, and you realize, hey, if I'm going to have some longevity in this sport and achieve my goals of moving and progressing, I have to understand when to move, how to take care of myself, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of one of those lessons that I'm still slowly learning, trying to like take care of my body a lot more, stretching and, rest and recovery, and not, like I said, not going 110% every single class. But it's definitely something that you have to take in consideration, especially if you want to do this, as long as some of the people that I have around me, for example, Grandmaster Joe Mora, he just got his red belt a couple months ago. He's in his 60s. And if you look online on his social media pages, he doesn't look like he's in his 60s. He doesn't move like he's in his 60s. He's like another big kid on the mat. And it's like, that's the kind of jiu-jitsu I want to be able to do, like from now until I can't do it anymore. But I want to be able to be out there in my 60s and, to be able to roll with anybody and make it look easy.
Right. And is he in San Diego?
No, he's in California. He's in I'm sorry, Santa Ana, California.
Right. I'm pretty sure Professor Professor Chris Buffalo show.
Yeah, Buffalo. Mm-hmm.
Buffalo came in and he just taught 2 classes last week at our gym, It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's friends, longtime friends with Professor Jeremy Schuneman. Runs our gym, who's a black
Mhm.
athlete. And so he came and he taught us, and it was just mind blowing. He was so smooth, so confident, so good, and he was teaching us like a single stack pass, if I'm right.
Mhm.
Right. And he said, be careful if you're going to extend that arm because you can get yourself set up for a triangle. Right. And of course, as me, I find myself in a triangle quite often, way more than I wish. And he goes, but it's okay. Go ahead and shoot that triangle. I want you to,
I
because
want you to.
want you to. It's going to make it easier for me to pass. Go ahead.
Mhm.
This. I want you to do it. I'm going to play my game, stay with my principles, stay eye to eye, center mass, then move perpendicular, get you flat on your back, go to side control. And I was like, wow. It was so simple, but
Yeah.
I listened to him. To me, he's just seemed like this gentle giant out there, which is what many of the upper belts that, I have encountered. But that was great having a guest because I'd just been at this one gym. So I just knew the professors there and had kind of,
Mhm.
learned some familiarity. So it was nice having a different, and then you mentioned him. And so I knew where he trained under because he had it on his gi, and I asked questions. So it's really fun to learn from people that you're not exposed to, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard stories about Buffalo from my instructor, and I just got the chance to actually meet him in Cali for Grandmaster's red belt ceremony, and yeah, he's a very very good guy, super strong, very knowledgeable, and he's all around just a really humble, really really humble guy.
Yes, it seemed just right. I was kind of like, this guy's a gentle giant, right? But I know just from watching him move, he's so efficient. And in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
that's one thing I love to watch upper belts roll at open mat, and I love to watch their efficiency, where they don't waste energy, movement, like whereas somebody like myself, find myself wasteful, and so I have to consciously be able to, okay, slow down, evaluate, and then where I'm going to go from there. Focus on my breath, my movement, and try to become more efficient. Um, so I can, continue on. And I think if you're wasting energy and you're not efficient, of course, that's not good in any whatever journey you're on or whatever. I don't care if it's work, anything. But
Right.
right, what I found is the way that I'm going to learn is by having volume or consistency, right? Increasing my volume of training, being at the gym 3 or 4 times a week. But the only way I can do that is by leaving a little in the tank, focusing on basically my entrance and my exit. So my warm ups, my preps, and then my recovery post,
Hmm.
right? Because I can't go to the gym last week, say a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for open mat if I'm not, actively recovering and obviously preparing. I think sometimes I warm up as long as the class is going to be, right? But that's what, I found that old injuries, shoulder injuries, broken wrists, separated shoulders, torn Achilles, that I can still navigate through those old injuries, just with my prep and my recovery. And I think that's going to be key to, like we mentioned, like with you mentioned Grandmaster and these guys that are in their 60s and they roll and they move, like you said, like kids and you're still having fun at that age,
Yeah.
but also you're having fun probably coaching younger practitioners and kids and passing on lessons too. That's quite rewarding.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so yeah. um,
It's very eye opening being on the other side of of the the school per se, from being an instructor. I mean, from being a student to an instructor, because I'm finally seeing the stuff that my instructor will always talk about with us coming up under him, where it's like, man, you guys are getting good. I got to keep digging in my toolbox and da da da. And it really kind of like shed some light that last Friday it was one of our purple belts and our white belt. And these dudes are like leaps and bounds from where we was at that current rank.
Really?
And we're like, dude, like we really have to start like rolling with you guys. Like we can't just go, we just can't play around and just do whatever. We like really have to kind of like think a little bit more than we used to, which is good because that keeps us, keep us evolving while helping you guys grow.
Right. Well, obviously, guys they're learning from you all the time, so they're they're learning your moves and your game.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when we do class and then we have live rolling, and then it's like I try to work on what we worked on in class. Obviously, it's fresh in my mind. I want to put the reps in so I can work on it. And it's like like one of my favorites is arm in sweep, right? When I'm on guard in guard from guard, and I'll work on that move the whole time, and I'm rolling with a black belt, and okay, he's kind of figured it out after my 10th attempt at the same time. So I don't have a multi-dimensional game, right? I'm going to shoot this one thing, but I have to, keep working. So as I understand, not that I can do it, but if this particular whatever you're working towards, it doesn't work, move to plan B and C and D. And I think, rolling with you upper belts, you help us to learn. And the upper belts in my gym will just pause for a minute and say, this is what you should have done or what you could have done at that junction.
Yeah.
Think that arm bar on you, make sure this is your defensive position. You can, roll into me, try to get, come out of it, get into a different position. So that's kind of, start playing chess. But I notice you upper belts are always, I don't know, 4 or 5 moves ahead. You know what I'm thinking even before I thought it, right? Because I think you can feel the body breath, you can feel the movement, the muscular contraction. So I know where this guy's going, he on me. And one of our professors, Professor Tyler, he goes, yeah, that's uncomfortable and I don't like it, but he ain't tapping me to that, right? Whereas, somebody like myself is like, wait a minute, should I tap on this? So,
that's kind of when I was still a blue belt, and we used to have like Wednesday and Friday morning classes.
Right.
And during that time, it was mainly me and my instructor was the only people only 2 people showing up. We may get one or 2 other people showing up to the morning classes. Right. But when we used to have, like I said, it mainly used to be us. Though it used to be like privates.
Right.
Free private, right?
I've had that occur.
So there's you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. But during these lessons where it's like, well, we're not necessarily having a lesson, we're kind of like breaking down the stuff that we did, to the class, for Tuesday or Thursday's class.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that we went over that wasn't like, necessarily like technique related, but just understanding the body and the mechanics. Where one time we rolled and he's like, all right, we're going to try something. So he was like, I want you to close your eyes and just feel my movement. Don't worry about, seeing where my arms are at or seeing where this is at. Just sit back, close your eyes, just take a deep breath and just move off reaction.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay, when I tried that, and that's kind of been one of those things where I try to keep in the back of my mind, because it's like, you necessarily can't watch everything that's going on. But if you have contact with your opponent, I can feel your muscle tense when you're about to move, or I can feel your arm, tense up when you're trying to like work try to work to get underhooks and stuff like that. So learning to use your body completely versus just thinking about stuff, it opens up a very broader view when it comes to comes to training and comes to jiu-jitsu.
Right. So you're just eyes closed and you're just feeling the movement, the muscular contraction, and reacting to that.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm trying that next class.
You got to, man. I tell everybody, like, dude, because and it also teaches you how to slow down.
Right? Okay.
Because because if you're trying to always reacting to what your opponent's doing, you're not necessarily you're just kind of like just going, and this is what causes that burnout, because it's like, okay, I don't know exactly my game plan. I'm just gonna roll, and then you're just like, okay, what are they doing? What am I gonna do compared to what they're gonna do? But it's like, okay, let's just take a deep breath, let's slow down, and feel my opponent's movements. And a lot of different stuff will open up. And it also, like I said, also helps you slow down and pick and choose your moments where it's like, okay, this is a time I can be explosive versus what just happened, that just transpired 2 minutes ago.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah.
Thanks, man. That's yet another perspective. I'm gonna work on that for sure. To come tomorrow for sure.
Just come back and let me know how that works out, because it's still something I'm still trying to work myself. And I also teach my students, or talk to whoever I talk to about jiu-jitsu. I always tell them, like, dude, like, as much as we love the fast pace flips and movements and stuff like that, sometimes you gotta just slow down, man, and enjoy the ride.
Slow down, enjoy it, control that. A little more control of the situation, your own situation, like you just mentioned, controlling breathing. That's a challenge. Lower belts, isn't it, for us to get our breathing? And claustrophobia. I've heard people mention. I'm freaked out when a guy's on top of me. A wrestling background, that doesn't tend to bother me too much. Rugby, you kind of get on the bottom of scrums and rucks, so a little different, but still slowing down, that's key. So I think in a situation like that, closing your eyes and trying to be one with what your opponent is doing, and move with them as opposed to against them. Or I'm going to work on that. That's a great one to put in the as kind of one of your goals for your next class or training session. So yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, man, you'll see a difference. You'll see a subtle difference right away, but the more and more you roll with that mentality, like, okay, I know I have 5 minutes to work. We're just gonna say, like, you're doing 5-minute rounds, and also it helps you understand your opponent, your opponent as well. Your training partners. Like, if I got, if I'm rolling with you, and it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna take age out of it, because it really doesn't matter. So it's like, okay, you have a wrestling background, you play rugby, so you have that grind, you have that drive to go. So it's like, you may be faster, you may be stronger than me, so it's like, I'm not going to go speed for speed the whole entire time we're rolling.
Right.
Especially with me with wrestlers, is if I find out anybody that wrestles, I'm not matching speed for speed. I'm not matching strength for strength, because I want to lose every single time.
Okay.
So I'll play to a point where I'm keeping myself protected, keeping myself calm. And once I start to feel like you're running, like your gas tank running low, that's when I try to turn it up. That's when I start working on my sweeps and everything else to get a dominant position.
The sweeps. Oh,
yeah.
I think I'm in a good position. Gosh, I fall victim to the sweeps. Yeah, we had Buffalo brought over a wrestler, a college wrestler with them, and a couple other guys last week. And wrestler, and he's a current college wrestler. So I was like, hey, you got to go easy on me. But man, his speed, woo, man, wrestlers like to do that. I can see where an upper belt like yourself, you're like, I'm going to let him wear himself out. He'll wear himself out.
Got to.
Then boom, I'll have him. But yeah, I got you. But I'm an older guy, so I don't have the speed like that. And the old saying, speed. Hey, everybody loves speed, but speed kills. And so I try to be methodical. But the part though, the downside of that is, by the time have in my mind processed what's going on, and okay, this is a way I should react to what they just did. It's already, the moment's gone. The moment's passed.
The moment's gone. Yeah.
And you guys, you upper belts know a step or two ahead what's coming. So you're already moving in that direction. I'm a little bit, and then I think about it, and then I don't have the speed to catch up. So I missed that sequence. We got to move on. So, but
Oh
hey,
yeah,
you know,
we still have those moments though, man. There's been a couple of times me and my training partner would like we'll roll and I would do something, and by the time I realized, we're both like, why did this happen? You know,
yeah.
like I'll misstep and be like, as soon as I do it, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then we'll go back after the roll and be like, why did you step over? I was like, dude, I don't know. I don't know why I did that.
You know what? Thank you. I don't have nowadays. I see that upper belts like yourself do that as well. You know, longtime practitioners. So okay, it's not just me. All right.
Oh no, I am nowhere, shape, form perfect in any matter when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I still make dumb white belt mistakes, or as they call them, or just dumb underbelt mistakes. I still make them. I still make them. But that kind of comes with the territory, you know.
Right.
You jiu-jitsu is one of those things where you have to get out there and make mistakes. You have to get out there and make mistakes.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to advance and become more well-rounded in your game, right?
Right, of course. So gotta get out there, gotta make mistakes, gotta get messy. You know, shout out to Miss Frizzle, but it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Uh, you know, one thing I wanted to mention, if it's okay, I wanted to talk about for older, you know, jujitsu players, just about prep and recovery.
Yeah, sure. Be my guest.
Okay, so you know that's say last Saturday at Open Mat there was a young fella, and he's the same as me. He's a one stripe white belt, and he looked like he was still asleep, rolling in at 9 a.m. and I was like, hey, bro, and how's it going? He goes, oh man, I'm still waking up. I'm like, I've been up for a couple of hours stretching and stuff, but he's a young guy, so it's kind of just comparing myself. Wow, I could never do that. So, I will,
Mm-hmm.
really focus on preparation. If I have the opportunity, if I'm not coming from the office, I will stretch, do active stretching here at my house. I have a little gym set up where I have sauna, I have red light, near infrared light, I have a power plate vibration platform, and a few other things. And I will go through, say, an active stretch preparation before I go to the gym. And then I love to give myself half an hour at the gym to warm up, just doing basic jujitsu movements on a mat, off to myself. And, I learned these movements from watching upper belts like yourself. So, you do these things too. Just, older guys just tend to put in, it's better to put in more reps, right? So you're good and warmed up, and then, ease into things. And I will let guys know, hey, obviously during training, when we're working on certain things, we're not going 100%. That's obvious. But then live rolling, I was like, hey, let's just go at 75%. Are you okay with that? No, if a guy's getting ready for a competition, I don't want to slow him up, so I won't go with that guy. But upper belts, and then I'll leave some in the tank. Maybe on a Saturday, I might roll 6 rounds at open mat, and I'll leave some in the tank. Come home, go through active recovery, which is back on the vibration platform, doing red light, stretching there, cold plunge. I won't do a sauna after that. You're plenty sweaty, right? And especially down
Yeah.
a lot of gyms, I'm sure. Hey, we're in Rapid City, South Dakota. Now it's cold in the winter, but it gets hot and humid in the summer, man. So
Oh yeah.
when you're rolling, but that active recovery, cold plunge, and just I think that's beneficial. And of course, chiropractic, and of course, nutrition. You can't roll in, eat McDonald's and expect to be, perform your best on the mat, and especially. And you can look at what your age and what your journey and how you've progressed from white belt to black belt, and how long that's taken you, and look at how how you've evolved to, like, I got to be prepared. And you being in an instructor, role, I feel that when I taught at the university level, I feel that you're even more prepared as an instructor than you even are as a student, because you not only owe it to yourself, but to your students, and you want to be a great instructor. You want to be able to help them. So I'm sure that, you've learned things along the way that, hey man, this doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
I need to be prepared, especially if I'm going to be teaching, from just drinking water, being hydrated, but stretching and going through. And so that's kind of what, kind of the journey that I think I've placed as much emphasis on prep and active recovery. And I think for older practitioners, that's a non-negotiable, but, younger, you get away with things a little bit more, but the more you create those habits, you have the discipline to do this, go through this methodical prep and recovery, the longer you're going to last. And injuries keep people off the mat, off the field, and that kind of bums us out, and that you lose momentum, and and some people just kind of fade away. So the stronger you are, the longer you're going to last. And that's just life too, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you have grandkids, people want to be able to get down on the floor, play with grandkids, get up off the floor. And isn't
Right.
right? Don't we get up and down all the time? And you keep flexibility in your joints. And why do I have to be on a blood pressure or a cholesterol medication just because so many people are at my age, right? That's not the norm. Let's create the norm of active movement and camaraderie, right? Our peeps, being with our gym family, and and building each other up. So many people. I'm just so fresh on this that I know you've experienced everything I've experienced 10x. But I've encountered some people in the gym that are undergoing, or they're in the midst of unique struggles, and jiu-jitsu is just only thing that's just keeping them solid, keeping them a good foundation for them to move forward in their struggles. Everybody has a little, is on a different journey. Some people have a little more stress and demons to deal with, and
Yeah.
right, jiu-jitsu is just a place to gather and be around men and women where we can still be primal, still exercise our primal instincts in a constructive manner, and then leave feeling empowered, in what we've learned there and from our gym family too. So I've really enjoyed that. Having been in the rugby community for so many years, you have a rugby family, and it's just people that and it's your friends. And then jiu-jitsu is sure stepped in there, where as an older person you can still be, you can still mix it up and go as hard as you want to go. Whereas where else are you going to find that as 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s? Where else are you going to find it? I mean, you can play tennis and pickleball, and those are great activities, right? There's many other places, just the gym and working out, but jiu-jitsu is a place where you can really be physical, and and so I think it's that's part of the mental and emotional, whereas I mentioned the physical training earlier, but just keeping you that primal instinct and urge. And I know if we look at civilizations that kind of came before us, and wherever they may, Celts or Vikings or anywhere else, anywhere, the Hadza, just different cultures throughout the world, they still up into their years, they were still active. When we look at history, they were still well respected. They were in an instructor, shared knowledge. They still hunted. They still just protected their people and their village. Not like he's too old, he's got to sit on the couch,
Right.
thing. Now of course we had young warriors to kind of to do their job as well, but it's you can still have a warrior spirit, mentality, and activity level on the jiu-jitsu mat that you wouldn't perhaps be able to find in another avenue as we're aging in our society. I don't know what you think about that.
I couldn't agree more, man. I love the I love the culture. I love the like you said, the camaraderie, the just how everyone reacts when they find out you do jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you get a couple sour patches when it comes to meeting people, but a good majority of the people I've met is like, oh, they find out you do jiu-jitsu and it's like, oh man, you instant family. It's like it's just that one common thing you find. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like no matter what you guys do, if you find like, okay, I love, me and this person I met love Star Wars. Or we love this and that, which is cool. But it's like, I found out that this guy does jiu-jitsu. Oh, we're instant best friends. Like no matter how long that person's been doing jiu-jitsu, once you find out that person does jiu-jitsu, you're like, it's instant family. Like, yep, that's my brother or that's my sister over there.
Well, you do kind of, back from my rugby background and translating that to jiu-jitsu. When we do hard things together, we form bonds.
Yeah.
And we form bonds. We were out there sweating on the mat. We're both exhausted, in your gym family, you form these bonds. And recently we just had a Friday afternoon cookout for one of our purple belts that's moving to Virginia. And it was so much fun. Kids were running around, squirting each other with squirt guns or dumping water. I mean, we just had so much fun just in a social setting. And these guys would just open their arms to me as a newer guy and just welcome me in. And then, like you said, you're socializing. But I think doing hard things form bonds, like military guys, they have these forever bonds because they endured these hardships and came out the other end. And I think jiu-jitsu gives us that basically gives you as much of it as you want and, as much of it as you need I find out probably you want more than you need, or I don't know, you end up wanting. And when I leave the mat, you will replay things in your mind. I should have done this, or this is how I know to do next time. When he tries to, I'm inside, whatever it is. And whereas when I leave the gym, I don't ever think about, man, if I would have done those bicep curls a little differently, my biceps, I would have just done this exercise. I never think about it at the gym, but jiu-jitsu, your mind's engaged. And as we age, if we don't engage it's real simple. You don't engage your mind or body, you don't lose it or don't use it, you're going to lose it, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
You're on a journey where, you can be in this great position to be a mentor for so many because you've traveled, people want what you have. People are hungry that you have achieved. So as a younger guy like me, I realized, man, you guys have just put in so much work. Gosh, it's just amazing. It's mind blowing. And you have to I would get overwhelmed because I'll say, man, I could never be where you are. I could never be where you guys are. And then I realized you were once where I was. You just had discipline to stick with it.
Yeah, that's all it is, man. It's as much as people, want to feel like there's some magic in jiu-jitsu, which there is, but feels like, oh man, how'd you get your belt, only after 6 years? And it's something I'm really not gonna get into, but it still took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And no matter how long you've been doing it, it's like you just have to put the work in. You have to put the time in.
Yeah, they're not giving anything to jiu-jitsu.
No, no.
Other disciplines I don't know about. I have read and been informed that it seems like jiu-jitsu, you're going to spend about twice as long as your belt progressions and advancements than some other martial arts. Even black belts just going to be twice as long as it might be in some others. So that's why I think there's so few of you guys that are out there, but seems like every one of you guys are so willing and forthcoming with your knowledge in the younger and the junior practitioners to help us along in our journey. And that's what's so much fun. And I love rolling with the upper belts because they're just so willing to share and help you along and, help you to learn how to beat them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything, but that's what's just so cool about it. I have some guys that are just they beat me up, but they lift me up. Leave the gym I'm not just feeling down. I'm feeling empowered, even though I don't really know much.
Right. And that's how it's supposed to be, man. You know, we sacrifice so much in our so much of our time and body to this this discipline, and you can't help but want to not only give back to the underbelts, you want them to exceed better than you did at that point.
Like a parent with kids.
Yeah, like I'll tell a student all the time. I was like, dude, if I was to go back to the belt that you're at now and roll with you, I will get smoked. I know I will. Like I will get smoked, rolling with someone that's a blue belt now if I was to go back as a blue belt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta, as they say, iron sharpens iron, man. You gotta, every time I roll with any a student, if I'm, if it's at my school, if it's at a visiting school or whatever, it's like we roll. If I catch somebody, I'm like, all right, this is how I got you. Or, if me and you are rolling, if you go for a technique and it's like, oh, okay, I see what he's going for. After the roll, I'll help you fix it. Like, oh, before I passed the guards, you had this. Let's show you where you messed up at. I'm not gonna say messed up, but let's show you where we can correct this little part here.
That's exactly from so many guys.
Yeah.
They'll help. And I just was rolling with a multi-stripe blue belt who's a competitor last Saturday, and he got me in it said that the choke where I have my elbow. Is that a gift wrap where you end up?
You said choke or a sweep?
A sweep. He had me in a choke.
Yeah, gift wrap.
Gift wrap. And he got my arm up, and I raised my own arm. I had a frame up, and I was doing good. And I was like, how did you do that? And he goes, I baited you to kind of get you to raise your arm. I'm like, dang it. Right? I was like, that's some dirty stuff right there. Where'd you learn? Right? And he goes, like, this is what I did to you because I thought you would raise your arm. And you did. And I got the underhook, and I got you right here. And that's like my most I laugh at myself the most with the gift wrap because I feel like I'm choking myself. So I feel like I get the tap. I choked myself out. I tapped myself. So that's like my funniest one. I'm like, I just can't get that through my mind. I just choked myself. You made me choke myself. Why did I do that? So,
right.
Yeah, that's
power. It's the power of the force, man.
Yeah, I just laugh about it. I was listening to, it was one of the Gracies, and he was on Jocko, and he was saying that one of his grandfather or whomever it was, there's so many, I don't know them all. And he said, one of the things I took away was, he said, don't forget, always have fun in jiu-jitsu. Always have fun. And I was like, yeah, isn't that what our sports are about and our disciplines? So it reminds me, I'm like, I like it. I have fun doing it. So I laugh, and I get tapped. I don't get mad. I laugh because I know it's coming. It's just when and how. I know it's coming, right? You're rolling with a purple or black belt. Don't worry. I ain't getting anything over on them, So I try to, kind of, I guess in kind of moving longer and closing, just having fun doing it, right? And having different avenues and different ways to have fun and have fun while you're pushing yourself physically. That works for me. I've kind of just had a history of always growing up playing sports, being involved, and I tend to gravitate towards doing things that are hard. And I feel good when I do things that are hard. And maybe things that put me in an uncomfortable situation. I know I'll get better. I don't want to be in an uncomfortable situation. I don't like it. I don't like people trying to choke me, but I know they're not going to hurt me. And I know that at the end, we're having fun. We slap hands. We laugh a little bit and tell a joke. And I leave there feeling like, man, this is such, I can't believe, why did I wait so long in my life to be a part of this? Because I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm being challenged so much as a guy at my age group, and there's a lot of 50s guys at my gym. None of them are white belts like me, but there's a broad, that's cool. They're opening, they're welcoming to people of all ages. And I know you see it at your gym, and you're going to coach a guy like me that shows up just as hard as you're going to coach a 17-year-old, or you're
Yeah.
going to spend just as much time. And as a white belt, we feel like, oh, they don't even know we exist over here on our mat, right? And then we got our award, earned our stripe, and we're like, hey, they know who we are. This is awesome, man. We're a part of something.
Right.
You feel like you're a part of something. And I got my first stripe, maybe a month ago or so, with my training partner, who I often train with at class, and he's 17. We're laughing because he's the youngest guy and I'm the oldest guy in the class. But we rolled together, and he just graduated high school, and Hunter's going in the military. He's such a fine young man, and we find the oldest guy, the youngest guy, but we train so well together, and he's so good, and he helps me so much, and it's like that's fun. Where else are you going to find that, Lamar? Where you have guys of that,
Nah,
right?
nowhere, man. Nowhere.
It's so cool about just traveling in the jiu-jitsu community. And I know I could come to your gym, and I know you would coach me up and welcome me to class, and just like you would anybody else. And I'm sure anywhere you'd go, that's a fun thing that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, man. That's how it's supposed to be, man. It's never supposed to be, ego driven. We're supposed to just go out there, like you said, have fun and learn and grow as a community, be humble, and everything else that comes with it.
Right. And if they weren't doing that at my gym, Black Hills, BJJ, then they wouldn't attract people like myself. They wouldn't attract, because we would think, I'm too old for UFC, so I can't go there. But they have all walks of people, and that's what's fun, getting to know different walks, isn't it? You have this common, but you're so different in your walks of life and your journey. You've traveled. It's so much fun intertwining with those people and teaching them some things and learning some things from them, on their journey.
Man, you got it, man. You're definitely on the right path, man. Definitely on the right path.
Bro, that's awesome.
All right, Dr. Will, we make sure we ask everybody that comes on the show, past or present, your top 3 people you would love to get a chance to roll with.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So obviously my last name's Conner. I'm of Irish descent. It's Conor McGregor. I don't know that he does a lot of jiu-jitsu, but it would be Conor McGregor. And of course Jocko, because I just listen.
Oh yeah.
He inspires many. He inspired me in that one podcast to finally step through the door. And you know what? Along those lines, Echo Charles. I like, he's kind of the wise Hawaiian sage in the background, always saying, "Brah, come on, brah." So I mean, I know I would get crushed by all of them, but it would be so cool to roll with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I am a huge Jocko fan.
Yeah.
I listen to his books so over and over again. And it's like, no matter how many times I listen to his books, I still learn and feel something from it, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Or as Jocko would say, Roger that.
Yeah. Roger that. Yeah, I was gonna say Roger that. Yeah.
As Echo would say, brah, come on, brah.
Come on, brah.
Yeah.
Right,
I kind of learned I get how to be cool lessons from Echo. Because he seems like a cool dude. So yeah, man. Well, thanks so much, Lamar. Thanks. I'm glad we were able to connect, and it's just fun learning more about the jiu-jitsu community. I hope that maybe a little bit of what I shared kind of helps some older guys that follow you and your podcast on their journey, and kind of, how they can go on their journey as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say, unless you have any other questions for me, Will, the floor is all yours. If not, let people know where you train at, where they can find you.
Sure.
Yeah, the floor is all yours.
Obviously I'm at Black Hills Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Rapid City, South Dakota. I'm on Facebook, William Conner, no big deal. Good Health Chiropractic is my office. I also do nutritional consulting and have done so for many decades, especially for the, from basics to the aging athlete. How can we stay active in our endeavors and just be healthy in our life? So yeah, so that's it. And bro, thanks so much, man. This was it's fun. It's fun talking to Jits. It's fun talking to someone that's traveled the journey, is way ahead of me, and learning from you as well. So thank you. Thanks to all you upper belts, you purples, browns, and blacks out there that help us young guys along.
And I appreciate you guys, man. You're the reason why this sport continues to grow. And I love the fact that no matter if you're from the age of six to 60, if you walk on the mats, there's always something you can learn. There's always something someone can learn from you. And, this is what keeps the sport ageless, pretty much.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, man.
All right. Well, that's the end of today's episode. I would love to thank Dr. Will Conner one more time for coming on the show and bless us with his jiu-jitsu knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure you go and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page to stay updated on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.
We're out.